I don't know what to do, and my radiator's hissing, but I don't know that that's what it is, and I'm convinced that my car's gonna blow up. I'm waiting, Atlanta. You know, that's what I saw in Atlanta, so I just assumed this is what happens.
Flaming car on the road, you're next.
It's normal. And this guy pulls up, and he's basically blocking traffic for me. Ends up we're like friends on Facebook. I'm 3 miles from Canada, and the first person to stop.
And probably no service.
We're friends with on Facebook, the most random thing.
Okay, hey everybody, welcome to the Ben and Sway show. We have another special guest here from the Spokane area, Sara Jean.
Hello.
She is a radio personality here in Spokane, grew up around Spokane in Kettle Falls.
Kettle Falls kid.
And does all kinds of awesome stuff. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. So one of the things that people might know about you is you're on the radio and doing that kind of thing. But I, even growing up 8 miles apart and knowing lots of people as per Facebook, we've got all these mutual friends. I didn't know who you were.
Right.
And so it kept coming up, suggested friend. I'm like, this girl's doing some pretty impressive stuff. And so we became friends, and then it was Instagram, and so seeing all these neat things. So I think it's part of social media, but I think that a lot of people probably feel like they know you probably much better than you know them.
Yep.
Because you share so much on there. So why don't we start by talking a little bit about, you introduce yourself, of who you are and
all that good stuff.
Yeah, what brought you to today?
Oh goodness, so grew up Kettle Falls, you know that obviously. After Kettle, I went to WSU, go Cougs. And promised myself while in college that I would never live in Spokane. And somehow, here I am, and still here. But after college,
and now hashtag Spokane doesn't suck, right?
All the time. Now I'm the biggest advocate of Spokane. I love my city more than life itself. I mean, this place is my home. It's my heart. It's my world. But it wasn't cool to love Spokane when you grew up in Kettle Falls or Colville. Like, you had to get out
and it's gotten a lot better. Let's be honest.
It has gotten a lot better. That's very true too. It's definitely the growth and everything. But yeah, Pullman was amazing. And after Pullman, I went to the East Coast, kind of the South, and I ran golf tournaments for the American Junior Golf Association. And there was this TV show on MTV back in the day. Did you ever watch Road Rules?
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of like Road Rules, but worse. So we, 6 of us, lived in a Ford van with a horse trailer full of golf equipment. And we traveled 15 states in a matter of 5.5 months and conducted every aspect of the junior golf tournament. So everything from announcing at the tee, to being rules officials, to marking the course, to the communications, the writing of the stories for Golf Week, you name it, we did it.
And how did that happen? Did you just stumble into that? Did you know somebody?
I wanted to be a sports writer, and so I thought that would be a great way to get a start. And we never really had golf in Kettle Falls until a year after I graduated, so it was never something I was able to, so I knew nothing about golf. I don't know why they hired me. I literally have no idea. But I learned really fast. We had to go through a training course, the whole thing. And so after that, I had never been east past Montana. I had no idea that there was life beyond.
It's a bit of a big place.
It's a little different over there. And if it did anything for me, it made me realize that I really do want to live in Spokane. Actually,
so it's
I'm totally
different
okay
over
with
there, and then if you go further south, it's different down there.
It's different down there too. Yeah, and we started in Brazelton, Georgia, worked our way up through the Midwest, through Iowa, Des Moines, Wisconsin, went all the way up into Ontario, came back down through Detroit, and then went down the East Coast, Pennsylvania.
What an experience!
Everything. It was amazing. It was amazing. None of us speak anymore. You figure living in a van with 5 other people, and
I think you probably said all you need to say.
I think so. Yeah, it was one of those things, and it's not that there's any ill feelings. It's just, it was 6 different people from 6 different backgrounds. I was the only West Coaster. I operated a little bit different than the rest of them. I was a lot more laid back, a lot more at ease, and and I realized that these are my people, like Spokane and the kind of chill.
It's funny how that stuff plays out when you're there. You know, you think, oh, it's just cliche. It's just. It's not.
It's fast-paced life.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people do based on their environment.
There are 16-lane highways over there. I remember driving this Ford van. I can barely reach the pedals. I've got a horse trailer on the back, and I'm driving through Atlanta, and there are cars on fire. Like every mile marker, there's another car that's lit on fire, and I'm going, there's no way I could do this every day. bring me back to like deers are the scariest, thing around
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
So yeah, but from there I came back and I worked for the Spokane Indians.
Okay.
And I worked in the front office and kind of realized that maybe sports wasn't my thing. I was never good at sports. And so I kind of was like the number one fan. I really wanted to be a sports writer so I could be a part of something that I was never really good at.
Right.
And then I kind of realized maybe that's not my thing. And I started working promotions and radio 15 years ago and thought, well, maybe I'll be a promotions director. Kind of worked my way through that. Kind of still did the sports thing, working on a sports show on an AM station. And then suddenly I'm thrown to the wolves and I'm on a country station and an oldie station and now I'm on Spokane's number one.
It kind of reminds me as you say that when I was in college, Howard Stern's movie Private Parts came out.
Yes.
Where he's got a cowboy hat on and he's doing a country station.
Little bit
It
of
kind of
everything.
sounds like,
That's kinda
and
what I
it
thought.
seems like that's kind of the route that you have to take to be in that
You
business,
do.
correct?
You
Correct?
have to,
Yeah.
and you have to wear a lot of hats, and
Yeah.
whatever's thrown your way, you just you bite the carrot, whatever it
Mhm.
is. So whatever they dangle in front of you, you take it if you want to stick around. And I tried to leave radio. I really did. I worked for a beauty school. I also know absolutely nothing about that. I grew up in Kettle Falls. Like we had Walmart. I don't know anything about anything. So that lasted for a few years, and I realized that even with this cush office, downtown, city view, a very steady paycheck, I wasn't happy, and I really love radio. And so back to radio I went, working part-time, minimum wage, and until I worked my way up. So, and now I'm on KISS 98.1. So
Yeah,
here I am.
that's becoming, if it hasn't already, a successful career for you.
Very much so.
And has budded some other things and gives you a voice out
Yeah.
there. And
Gives me a platform.
So you were just kind of telling a little bit of a story that leads into the power of social media, where you had hit your first deer, which is pretty remarkable.
It's
really.
so remarkable to
I mean,
think that I made it almost 4 decades and never hit a deer.
So this, our show
Yeah.
here is to talk about Spokane, the surrounding
Yeah.
areas, and if you're in Spokane all the time, you may not realize that deer are like oncoming missiles at times.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
when you're out there driving around in the countryside, and you
yeah.
don't have to be way out there.
It's like
either.
Mario Kart, literally. Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
still live in Colville, and I drive through town, and that if you really want to go show somebody deer, just go drive around. Go what Hawthorne
and down
Street or whatever,
395 and boom,
they'll
you're
be
good.
in town. But yeah, and it's actually, I think, one of the most the highest cause of accidents
Oh, it
is
has
like
to be.
deer in the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's hear your first deer
First deer
encounter.
experience. Okay, so we're about a month ago, a little less than a month ago. I'm somewhat of an adventurer, and I like to do it solo because things like this happen. Nobody really wants to go with me. So I'm like 3 miles from the Canadian border. I'm going up to Boundary Dam. I'm gonna camp because they just reopened their campground after a bunch of renovations, and I'm gonna go kayak Pee Wee Falls. Reason for that, because they're starting a trail, which means humans are gonna get there, and I wanna be there before the humans get there. And
I'm going on Sunday. As a
are
matter of
you?
fact, yeah.
See,
By
there
boat.
you go. By
Yeah.
boat, exactly. And so
Yeah.
eventually boat's not gonna be the only way, and so I just wanted to, get that out of the way. And I'm 3 miles from Canada, 3 short miles from Canada, mile marker 3.5. And out of nowhere, mama deer just flying through the air like a missile. Like
Yeah.
you said, she just boom, all of a sudden she was there. And I hit her so clean. I mean, 60, 65 miles an hour, just boom, straight on. Couldn't have been more straight. I don't even know that she broke my headlights, but hit the
kind of
grill and just
eviscerated.
woof, straight up. So being that I've never done that before, first of all, there's no shoulder on the road right there. And there are cars whizzing past so fast. My dog's still in the car. She took a little bit of a tumble when I slammed on the brakes. So I'm worried about her. I'm worried that we're going to get hit. And also being a female, I don't know a lot about cars. And so...
Well, and you're in the middle of nowhere.
And I'm in the middle of nowhere, and
Yeah.
I'm shaken. And I will admit, even though I grew up around hunting and things like that, I've never killed anything in my life. I don't even kill spiders. Like, I release them into the wild. And I can hear her crying.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the most horrible thing. So, of course, I go pet her and tell her I'm sorry and go through that whole thing, but that's a side story. And so I don't know what to do. And my radiator's hissing, but I don't know that that's what it is. And I'm convinced that my car's going to blow up. I'm waiting. Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's what I saw in Atlanta, so I just
of
assumed
course,
this
yeah.
is what
Flaming
happens.
car on the road, you're
It's
next.
normal. It's
Yes.
normal. And this guy pulls up, and he's basically blocking traffic for me. Ends up we're like friends on Facebook. I'm 3 miles from Canada, and the first person to stop.
And probably no service.
We're friends with on Facebook. The most random thing. There's a little bit of service because I just happened to be by the Ione airport.
Yeah.
Don't ask. That was sheer luck on my part. So that's the first person. Second person to stop is an off-duty border patrol guy.
Mm-hmm.
Super nice, amazing, and he's the one that explains to me that it's my radiator. Nothing's going to catch on fire. I need to move the car to the other side where there's a shoulder. Take his advice. I do it. Nothing blows up. That was really cool. And then the next guy is the principal of Selkirk High School, another super nice guy. And so together with our forces combined, once my mom got there to come pick me up, because I'm not going to ride with the tow truck driver all the way back to Spokane. That's just a little weird, especially with my dog. They had tools, and they transferred my kayak racks to my mom's car and helped me transfer all my stuff over. They were amazing. And in the state, you can now take the deer as roadkill to feed your family.
So did you use that as a bartering tool?
No, but it was, she was taken. She was taken, the principal did take her, and we became friends on Facebook, which he showed me the picture of the deer then hanging, skinned.
Which is probably exactly what you wanted to see.
It actually made me feel better. It's like Circle of Life. Like I just saw The Lion King last night, so I'm going to go with that. But you know, she's going to a good cause now at this point. And so we're friends on Facebook now. And then the Border Patrol guy comes and finds me at Hoop Fest at the Kiss booth because he saw my lanyard in the car, introduces me to his wife, and adds me on Facebook. And so now we're friends. And now we're all talking about taking this trip, kayaking trip at Medallion Falls. And I've got this whole new group of friends.
So, I mean, I think what it says about a lot of people that aren't really engaged with social media, they have a lot of ideas or misconceptions. There are people that live in the virtual, right? They don't really get out and do that stuff. I think, though, by and large, most people, it facilitates something happening. Now, you might have run into a deer, never had a Facebook, and become friends with these people, but not likely.
But not in the same way. Not in the same manner. And for them to be able to find me because they knew that I worked for a radio station and just do a quick search. And now I've got this group that, wants to take me on a trip, and this guy that's saving venison from the deer that I hit on the road for me. Would you ever think that scenario would happen?
It's an amazing story.
And the other guy that stopped, he actually just messaged me today, sent me a picture of him in Vegas. He's in Vegas,
nice,
just sharing his vacation with me. So
that's great.
All of a sudden, I've got this whole new group of friends based upon what could have been a tragedy, and it ended up being a really cool thing. So
let's talk about one of your other passions. You were up in Pee Wee Falls. You're traveling around. I've really enjoyed seeing all your stories on Instagram. It's funny because you post the most, so you're always at the front. Now, I don't have a lot of teenage girls that I'm friends with, so they probably beat you here and there. But you share a tremendous amount of content. It's very entertaining and enlightening, and I think if people are traveling around looking for bed and breakfast or just that get out and see things, or just to live vicariously through you, they can do that. So why don't you talk a little bit about what you do on your weekends and how that works?
So work hard, play hard, right? And that's one thing I would love for everyone to know. I'm going to use this moment to say I do work. I do. I work a lot. And I'm not just on air. I'm the digital content director of our radio stations. So 6 stations. Do a lot. I'm there till the evenings most nights. I don't have a lot of time during the week, but I make sure to plan my vacation days and my weekends accordingly so I can get out of here. But what's really cool is you don't have to go far where we live to find a really cool adventure. You really don't. Everything's within a 2 to 4 hour distance. And it's such a beautiful drive. It's not like that's a burden in any way. So what I typically do and how this all started, nobody ever wants to go with me because it sounds like a burden. And I tend to get lost. I tend to be very spontaneous. I don't really make plans. So I just started going by myself. Like if I can't find somebody to go with, I'm going, pick up and go. And so my car is always full of my camping stuff and everything just so I can leave at the drop of a hat. And I will literally go to either All Trails or to Airbnb, and I will look on the map at a 2 hour to 4 hour radius. I will find what's available, what's near me, based upon the weather, based upon what I'm looking for that weekend, and it's kind of like drop a pin and go. So, for instance, this last weekend, went off to, it was 4 hours to the first destination, or 3 hours, Goldendale. Stayed in a horse trailer that was an Airbnb with the most majestic, amazing view of Mount Adams. And Mount Adams kind of is known for some odd alien stuff, Area 51 type stuff, right? So it creates its own weather, and it's weird. I'm not gonna lie. I sat there and I watched this mountain, and I was just mesmerized at watching how
it's almost like one of the forgotten big mountains in the range, because you don't think of Mount Adams, but it's a monster of a mountain.
A monster, and it's when you watch that sunset on its snowy face, oh my gosh, it's the most incredible thing. And so here I am sleeping in a horse trailer with the most cush bed, so comfy, one of the best night's sleep. It's got 2 ceramic tubs outdoors. All you do is turn on a little knob for a propane tank that lights the things on fire, and you're in this cannibal tub with the stars of, you know, right outside of the Gifford Pinchot, just absolutely beautiful. And so that was my first night. Second night, went up to a very small hidden campground up in the Goat Rocks Wilderness, and found a waterfall via some Instagram friends. So here's where this comes in handy as well, who've sworn me to secrecy, so don't ask, I'm not going to tell you. Where this waterfall is, that's literally a whopper. This thing is like 260 by 280 feet. I mean, it's just huge, and you can pretty much run up its face. It's like one of those cascading ones, and it's, you can't even describe it in words. This thing is so huge, and it's just hidden. And managed to go find that based off of a lot of research and everything, and go run up the face of this majestic waterfall all in a weekend.
Super cool.
So yeah, not a bad weekend for sure. And then I hiked the Goat Rocks and did a 15.5-mile hike with the PCT and all of that.
That's very
on
cool.
the final day. So I don't recommend that before driving 6 hours.
I bet not. Some of the things that I've seen on there that are really interesting is you stayed in a old fire lookout.
Yeah,
that
and
was
that's
really cool.
That's got some local vibes to it, because that fire lookout came from Chewelah. That was an old Chewelah lookout, and there's a woman named Christy Wolf. You've probably heard of the Hobbit House. She's got this Hobbit House in Orondo, which is out by Lake Chelan. This thing has gotten so much attention. She is one of the most drop-dead gorgeous late 30-somethings, and she's an architect, and she's all about that, you know, off-grid life type of thing. So everything's solar powered, this, that, and the other. She's got Tree House in Hawaii. She's got her Hobbit House. She has this fire lookout now in Fernwood, Idaho, I believe is where it was. And now she's got a potato. The Idaho potato. It's literally a giant potato she got from a potato museum that she's turned into an Airbnb.
You know, I think I've seen that someplace
It's all
else.
over the place.
Yeah.
She is just amazing, and she's killing it in the Airbnb world. And I've been lucky enough now to stay in 2 of her locations. And
that's cool.
The fire lookout was really cool. Huckleberries everywhere.
Wow.
This outdoor sauna. And she does these little details, like these little glass jars of everything you need to make granola and hot cocoa. And it's got the old compasses and maps.
Yeah, that's what I recalled, because I've been in a number of fire lookouts.
Yeah, they don't come with this
They're
stuff.
usually, you go up there and there's a lot of tree forts out there that give you more than a fire
some
lookout
mice
gives.
and some spiders, and that's about all you get. So she really goes above and beyond, so that people that maybe wouldn't like the rough lifestyle, roughing it, whatnot, can go experience that in more of a glamping culture.
Well, that's kind of what I notice, is that you find areas that are super comfortable and super cool. The unique decor of the owner, based on their experience and expertise, and it has a local vibe. And so it's cool. And so, do you get a lot of interactions with people on that? It seems like you would.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of its own
It's a
little
daily
world, right?
thing. Can you give me a recommendation? And then I'll say, okay, how far? Mountains, lakes, oceans, desert, what do you want? Do you want dogs? How much do you want to pay? And then, I can go through my wish list, because I've compiled lists upon lists, and I can look and see and give them recommendations.
So you let's talk about how you utilize social media. So you, I get to see a lot of it. You do Instagram, you use Instagram stories, and then you do a lot of Facebook stuff, but I'm assuming that a lot of the Instagram just feeds your Facebook.
Over to Facebook, makes it a
and
lot
then
easier.
and then what else are you doing? I think you have a blog on.
I've got a blog on our
website.
KISS page, so that's a big thing. I found that right now Instagram's a hot thing. Instagram is definitely by far king. Facebook's kind of a different demographic. It's more kind of the older generation. So it seems to be working more for our parents.
Yeah.
and whatnot. And so a lot of times with Facebook, I'm finding I'm sharing the blog from our KISS page onto the Facebook, and that's really what I use Facebook for, unless I'm just pushing a photo through from Instagram. But
And it's
they're all
pretty
connected.
easy to do.
It's so easy. You can share Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram all in one. Just one quick thing, and you're done. Which makes my life so much easier doing the digital stuff for all 6 of our radio stations. I would never leave work if I didn't have the option of just check marking those little boxes and saying, yes, feed this to here, feed
So
this
you
to
have
there.
a great insight to this. So from what we're doing here at Ben and Sway, trying to help businesses tell their story and get out there and use social media, where they might think, hey, this is just for kids, or this is how much, if somebody is consistently posting, regardless of the actual content or what industry they're in, like, let's talk a little bit, how much attention versus, let's say, traditional media, which there's nothing wrong with that, but buying a billboard or paying for an ad in the newspaper, which you really don't know what you're getting, right? But when you do it on social media, you get instant feedback. And sometimes it's very good feedback, sometimes it's ugly. But you have to deal with all that.
But that helps you build, because any criticism can be constructive. That's what's great. Even the trolls that sit behind their keyboards and try to, you know. And also one thing I've learned, when they comment, that boosts my engagement.
It does.
So even if it's a negative comment, the engagement goes up, which means more people are seeing it. So really, I want to thank you, troll, for what you said, because all you did was help me in the long run. To get more attention.
And I've seen some of that in your feeds before, where somebody, you know, because you stopped drinking a while ago, and it's kind of funny because I'm very similar in that I used to go out and drink a lot. I went to have issue.
Yeah, we're coos. I mean, that's just what we were trained to do.
Yeah, exactly. And somehow,
that's what we went to school for.
And somehow hold your life together after that.
Exactly.
But there is, you know, at a certain age, you go, is it really worth it? And but there's still those that are trying to like drag you into, or maybe feel better about what they're doing. And when you draw back from drinking, you're going to get some people that are going to throw stones. But what I did see, and this reminds me of a conversation with an author of a book. His name is Jay Baer. He wrote a book called Hug Your Haters.
Oh, yeah.
And I met him at Heroic Public Speaking Live down in Fort Lauderdale. I told a story about that trip earlier off the show. But what he says is that on social media, you need to engage with as many people as possible. And he has a 2-comment rule. So if somebody, whether you have a business or just an individual, if somebody brings a negative comment, usually they're just shooting from the hip, right? It's hard to really conceptualize it, but they say something bad to you, maybe to make themselves feel better, whatever.
They're looking for attention of some sort.
So he says, address it really favorably. Like if you're a business and somebody's ragging on you about your business doing something wrong, say, I'm really sorry to hear that. Hope we can make it up to you. And this has been our experience that's different from yours. Let us know what we can do. Then they come back a second time and said, you know, you're dirty, rotten, da 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 da. And his what he says is, be very nice again and say, really appreciate your feedback. I'm sorry we couldn't come to some sort of agreement, and leave it at that. And he says what happens is sometimes they'll just keep going. So they're looking to draw you in, because really what they want to do is have that dialogue with you.
They're looking for some kind of attention.
And sometimes it's angry dialogue, sometimes it's positive. But what he says, if you do that enough times, even if you have a small following, and then it builds, pretty soon before you go to hit your comment, you'll see that somebody else is commenting.
Stood up for you.
And now your audience is built, and you don't even have to do anything.
You just let it go.
And I would imagine that's
so
kind of where you're...
So grateful for my listeners and the support that I have. And sometimes I will sit there for a second, because you always got to stop. Think about what you're going to say first. And by the time I come up with that perfect response, somebody's already taken care of it.
Or you're off grid, or you're traveling, you come back and you're like,
oh no,
hey,
like what happened while I was
already
gone?
addressed.
Yeah, exactly. Thank goodness. And that happens a lot too. And I've actually had anxiety while being off grid after posting something. Like, I have no control over what's happening to it right now. What do I do? I've got to look at this when I get back in 3 days. And that's the joys of also traveling off grid, is you don't have to worry about work or any of that while you're gone. But it's always still there when you get back. But so often the audience is going to take care of it, because not all people are bad. The majority of people out there are, but there are just a few that just ruin it for everybody.
Well, I do think too that I don't think they're always sitting there with a scowl on their face.
No.
I think
I think sometimes they're misconstrued. Sometimes I think
absolutely.
I mean, it's just like texting. You never know. I'm the queen of using probably too many smiley faces and things like that. But it's because I want to make sure that person knows I was smiling when I wrote it. I don't want that to be like I was being funny or I was being sarcastic.
It's the same thing in email. I mean, you don't know unless you see someone's face and their body language exactly what they're trying to construe.
Yeah.
And that there's a little bit lost on a phone call, but it's a lot simpler and more direct. And then email's got a little bit more breath to it. And then you've got comments and texts. They all kind of fit in that same category.
And depending on what your mood is for the day, can very much be how you read that person's response. So they might not have meant any of that at all. And all of a sudden you're taking it personally. When
and
really,
the beauty of autocorrect.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So
then there's that. That's a whole nother story.
Never meant to do that.
Yes, exactly. I swear to God, I didn't mean to say duck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
We touched on it a little bit. The main focus of our show here is to put a highlight on businesses and people and the Spokane region, and in particular people that are making a difference, doing cool things.
Yeah.
So we love to highlight things like what you're doing, and it's super exciting and happy to do that. But I also want this to be for people that, there's a lot of startups going on here. We're a young business. There's a lot of them here. A lot of people looking to come to Spokane. And they're like, what is Spokane? And I think Spokane, as you talked about being able to within 2 hours get away. I mean, within 45 minutes you can basically do anything,
so
right?
Much,
regardless of season. You're also avid runner, and you've done some half marathons, and there's lots of events.
3 weeks. Yeah.
We've got a triathlon this weekend up in Colville.
Right.
It's just there's stuff
so
going
much
on
to do.
everywhere.
Yeah, you'll
and
never get bored here.
You don't have to fight the traffic to get there. Now you do have 2 lanes, and you do have deer.
Yes.
But
and what we call traffic, which it's so funny when I talk to someone from Seattle or something and I complain about traffic and they laugh in my face. You have no idea. And it's true. If my 6-minute commute goes to 15, I'm having mental breakdowns when I can't even imagine living over there.
It's there's 6 different locations where it's problematic for about a combined 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And
that's about it. Those locations.
I've spent a lot of time in Seattle.
Yeah.
And if you've been to Seattle or know the area, there's there's Mercer Street, and they call it the Mercer Mess. It's between downtown and South Lake Union. And my fiance has a business there, and she has a building on the other side of South Lake Union, or Lake Union. And so you have to come through almost the entirety of the Mercer Mess. Basically, you enter in between Paul Allen's Institute and the Gates Foundation. And there's ways to kind of get around it. But one Friday afternoon, I used Lyft to get back to our old apartment in Bellevue. And I left it was 5:45. I thought, okay, I gave it a little time.
Yeah. But really, you're hitting mid-peak.
Took me an hour and 47 minutes.
And this is in a Lyft?
This is in a Lyft.
So you're paying for it.
Oh yeah, it was $126 to go across Lake Washington, and I wasn't driving, and I was having serious anxiety.
I would too.
And thankfully, I had my Bose headphones, so it was your
Lyft driver is going.
I was ruining it. I didn't feel happy. I felt like he needs a $100 tip.
Yeah, right
for dealing
after
with
that.
this.
Oh, geez, but he probably deals with it all the time.
Brutal. I mean,
brutal.
and it's not just. Seattle. We know that one, but. The Bay Area. Portland's brutal too.
Yeah, Portland's horrible.
And so I think that
we're very lucky.
And I don't envy people who have to deal with it. I know that there's lots of opportunity there, and some people love those places, and that will continue to grow. But as businesses look to Spokane because it's affordable.
Yeah, very much so.
There's in the downtown area. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of new restaurants, a lot of new things happening all the time.
Like we said, it's so much better than it used to be. I mean,
it's a lot of fun.
Growth here is amazing.
And then you can get out. So if you like to, get out on the water and you have a boat, there's plenty of places for that. Yeah, Lake Roosevelt. You can have, place where there's houses everywhere,
Yeah.
or you can go someplace where you can see the Milky Way like
Exactly.
it's, you know,
But you're
a band
still
of light.
super close to Spokane.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what's absolutely amazing.
I think
It's perfect.
yeah, and I think that more and more people are going to see that. I think, you know, as locals, you kind of have that.
We don't want anybody
more
else
cool
here,
people
you
coming,
know,
but we
yeah.
don't want it to get to a point where it
Right.
ruins that feel.
Exactly.
That the city does a good job now of investing in areas, and we've
Look
seen
at our
some.
new park,
Oh, I know.
Riverfront Park, and the pavilion and the lights, and
Isn't it great?
just wow. I mean,
Yeah.
and how many cities can say that they've got a waterfall running through the middle of their city? I mean, we got Spokane Falls right there, and all these bridge systems, and this amazing pavilion, and all the arts, and all the different things, and it's just right
I feel
there in the
bad
middle.
for people who don't walk and
Right?
take that in.
And even the sparkly sidewalks. I know it's, but I love the sparkles in the sidewalks. Since I was a little girl,
Yeah.
I've loved the sparkles in the sidewalks downtown. I don't know what it is.
Well,
Little
I
things
think
in
we
life.
could sit here and talk for an hour, but we should
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
wrap this up. I can't thank you enough for joining us
Thank you for
here and
having
being
me.
part of
I
our
appreciate it,
our
so.
fledgling company here to help
Absolutely.
people tell stories. And you
Yes.
really, I think, highlighted really well the power of social media,
media.
telling stories, video,
Yeah.
imagery,
The digital
and then
world is where
and
it's
you
at right
and
now.
you have to have, you know, writing and all that stuff goes together to
Yep.
tell a compelling story.
It can all go
So-
hand in hand, and it's really not as difficult as
No,
it
you just
sounds
got
from the outside.
you got to get started.
Yeah, yep. Once you
right?
get started, it's just learning. So.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Sarah. I really appreciate
You're
you
very
having
welcome.
me. Thanks.